All right, so back in Virtual Desktop and taking another look at 3D Fix Manager. Um, the first video I did was on Pinball FX2, just gave an overview and started with this Pinball FX2 because it definitely supports 3D vision and it's DirectX 9, which I know works with 3D Fix Manager. Uh, This time I'm going to look at DirectX 11, which is the tougher variant. Um, what I still go by is if you do this drop down list, they've got this supports latest drivers, and whichever games show up in there, that means you can. It's got one of these fixes will apply to it, and you don't have to roll back your GPU driver because that's not something that it's a really old GPU driver at this point. So it's not something I would do. So I pretty much stick with this list. And my understanding is like there's DX11, DX9, DX11, DX9. I think all of the DX9 stuff will show up in the support latest drivers. It's the DX11 stuff that's problematic. And with the XRK 2 TV, basically the thing where I was looking at is the pinball games, which is there's Pinball FX2 and FX3. So FX2 is DX9, it's this Helix mod, and we were able to get that to work. And I'll go over that again real quick. So like the part, like I knew when this was working is when I would launch it in 2D and I would start getting like a 2D effect. So it's only like partially set up, but you can see this, it's trying to do, some level of 3D. And if I launch it in Katanga, that's when I'll get the proper left and right stereoscopic support. Now, the part I was running into, at least with the Gen 1 dongle, was that the view was changing on the left flipper. And that's because with the Gen 1 dongle, this left flipper is the U key. And then for the Pinball FX2 fix, it's mapping the U key as a hotkey, which will cycle through these presets. So it's changing the 3D depth. So that's what was messing that up. So one way is you could just, when you're applying that fix, you could just remove this key. Now I have virtual here set up where I can use X input or the keyboard. So I don't have that set up at all right now. I don't have to worry about that now. I'm not using the Gen 1 dongle. But that's a little bit about this. And we were able to get that to work with Katanga. It would be a little bit nicer if I could never get to launch in here. It'd be nice if it would just work in here and I wouldn't have to, create those shortcuts, and it would, so could be a little bit easier. But for the other one, Pinball FX3, I wanted to come back, and that shows up as 3D Magoto, and meaning it, and so that's the which fix is applied for these matters, I believe, for the latest drivers. So the 3D Magoto games will not show up in supported drivers. The geo-11 ones will. So Pinball FX3 was showing up in 3D Magoto, but where it led me down there was to go and look at geo-11, and it's got this thing saying where you can potentially update 3D Magoto to geo-11. So you can check the database or the blog. And they've got some steps in here about turning forced stereo on. So I went to that database, Airtable, and they've got for Pinball FX3, it's now Pinball FX Classic. it's got these steps. And actually, let me roll back for a second and talk about that. So here in the 3D Fix Manager, it's still looking for Pinball FX3. So even though I had Pinball FX Classic now installed in here, I first had to change the path and the executables. So if I'm on Pinball FX3, I can go to the Profile folder. So it's wherever I installed it in the Fixes folder 806. It's got this INI file. And so if I open that, this was pinballfx3.exe, and the install dir was pinballfx classic. But in Steam, if I'm on pinballfx here, I say browse local files. It is now Pinball FX Classic and Pinball FX Classic. So I'd update that INI file in the fixes folder. And when I did that, it now shows that Pinball FX3 is an installed game. Now there are some games that'll be in both 3D Magoto and in geo-11. So Wonder Boy's one of them. So I think there are instances where people have maybe it initially started out as 3D Magoto, and then somebody's done a follow-up fix for geo-11. Meaning it will work on the latest drivers, specifically the geo-11 version. So Pinball FX, when FX3 hasn't gone away, it still has only, I guess it hasn't been had a verified fix to be brought over as showing up for geo-11. But I saw these steps, and it was like, well, if you got 3D Magoto, you install it first. So on Pinball FX3, I installed the fix here. Once I had done the INI file update, it saw it and would apply it, install the 3D Magoto fix. And then I could download the geo-11 files and copy the files over and then update the D3DX INI file. So I tried that. So in the downloads, so in geo-11, it's got these downloads. So I was trying to do the Direct 3D 11. This is a one I tried, and I also tried the virtual reality Katanga one, which is a bigger one. And so I would get the 3D version, go to x64, basically copy all of these files except the INI file. If I would go back to Steam, I copied all those files into here, which it copied over some of the fixes that the 3D Magoto fixes that 3D Fix Manager had already applied. I was basically saying, 3D Fix Manager, you apply the 3D Magoto fixes, then I will apply, copy over the geo-11 fixes on top of it and replace it, except for the INI file. And then in the INI file, I would edit this and add the force stereo equals 2 per these instructions on this database. I never got anything. Like I showed you that if I run Pinball FX2 now, I kind of get that stereoscopic vision. It's like, and it just works in with Katanga, but with Pinball FX, I couldn't get anything. Pinball FX Classic, no matter what I've done, the fixes in whatever varying state, I've just never got it to hook at all. I'm still only getting, it's just pure 2D, no 3D effect. Now, if I search for this, if I just search for Pinball FX3, 3D Magoto, and geo-11, I can find that a while ago people were trying it. MTBS 3D, there's this forum on it, and some people were getting at least partial to get it to partially work, but the tables, they said the tables were invisible. I was trying to recreate at least this with overriding geo-11, without overriding 3D Megata with geo-11, but I could never get this to work at all. I never got this far, but at least like some people were making progress. But I think the end result of reading this is that still 3D Megata is the only thing that works, which I mean means for the to play Pinball FX3, which now Pinball FX Classic in 3D, requires rolling back GPU drivers, which is not something I will do. So that's a dead end. But I still wanted to get something to work, some DirectX 11 game to work. So I did. So Wonder Boys, the Dragon's Trap. If I can look at it, if we go to the fix, we can see that it's applied as geo-11. And I didn't want to do I think I could do the whole Katanga stuff again and the shortcut. There are arguments instead of passing an argument of DX9 or DX9EX. There's also a DX11 EXE argument that you can pass. But I didn't like that. I don't like trying to set up the shortcut. So this one I did have some success from this launcher. So let's just kind of give me some space back. And come on, go away. And let's try to launch this in from just this launcher. It's a little wonky, but I was able to get it work. We'll see if I'm able to get to work again. One thing I noticed is when I do this, I'm pretty sure it toggles off the 3D, which I don't understand why that happens yet, but we'll watch this and see what happens. Not sure if it'll do it on this one or not. But I'm going to do play in VR. And this will take a little bit if I remember. All right, so kicked into Steam VR. Now, one time it was able to successfully kick into Katanga, but I think that was the very first time it did. But since then, I've never been able to kick it in. So I can hear the background music. Okay, I tried to kick in right there, which I think was meaning Katanga launch, but it didn't hook for some reason. So if I get out of here, I think if I exit Steam VR, so it shows me like Katanga's kind of like locked up. I don't know if I need to focus, and I've got a top and bottom screen here. I forget what I did last time, but oh, just did it. Is it just being patient? Well, I don't want to be patient. All right, so can I center it? Okay, I was able to, so it is Katanga. The right touch trigger centered it when I'm looking straight ahead. And I'm assuming I've got the controls set up. I don't. Let me, I'm going to try to switch the X Arcade to TV into X input mode. I'm actually not sure I've got the virtual here client loaded. Let me kick out to desktop real quick if I can. No, it's here. Okay, you need to use everything. Okay, it should be in X input mode. Let's try to go back to VR. See if it recognizes it now. Okay, so I've got the X-Arcade 2 TV working using the left analog. Don't know the buttons. Oh, that's not good. Okay, that's it. Save. Easy. Blah, 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 blah. Oh. The 3D looks good. I'm getting a little bit of missing a frame there as well. Background looks, I mean, the foreground looks good. I've got some smoke in the foreground here. I've got the buildings in the background with a great parallax effect. The edges, I get a little bit of overlap. Kind of expected. Yeah, I'm dropping, I may not have a great connection. The 3D kick. So this is a DX11 game though, using geo-11. Partial success, but I think I have to give up on Pinball FX3. Maybe a later version of geo-11 will make it possible. That's all.